Etiquette this afternoon on Kababayan LA. What to do with technology, how to use your cell phones properly. We just talked about that in an earlier segment. If you missed it, don't worry. Log on to our YouTube page, youtube.com/KababayanLA18, and everything is there. And as I introduced her earlier, our etiquette coach here on Kababayan LA, Miss Melba. Once again, hello, and thank you so much. You know, cell phones, very, very helpful, the tips that you gave earlier.
Thank you.
And now let's talk about email. And this is, you made a note here. It says email etiquette for the super busy. Why are you making that, special note for the super busy?
Okay, well, everybody is busy, and it takes a lot of time to sit at the computer and, go through your emails. And so you want to make sure that when you write an email, it's something that'll catch the attention of the recipient, right?
Yes.
So that they don't just shrug it off or, wait 5 days before they respond
Or
to you.
delete it.
That's
we'll
right.
talk about that later, because that's what I do with a lot of chain email. Luckily, it's not as much anymore these days.
That's
I don't know
true.
about you, but I think people have already learned their lesson. But first tip is mind your manners.
Okay. As with speaking, as with being on the phone, the email still, we need to exercise our manners there. Okay, we need to make sure that we are courteous. We don't come across as being demanding or gruff or curt. We need to make sure that people find us approachable and friendly, and that, we're out there to make the other person comfortable, not to downgrade a person.
So when we're back and forth emailing each other, is it still a must to always put, hi Melba, dear Melba, and then you say something, and then again?
Well, if it's an ongoing chain, you can always say just a hi, or and then become less formal. But we just have to make sure that we still maintain that degree of comfort level, so that the other person is comfortable on the other end as well.
Okay, which relates to this is tip number 2, watch your tone.
Watch your tone. It's difficult to communicate with the email more than with a phone, because you don't have the intonation of the voice, and you don't know if the other person is taking it well, because you can't see the other person.
You can be misinterpreted, yes.
A lot of times, okay? Then a fight will ensue, and there's so much disagreement. And so you have to watch the tone of the words you choose.
So capital letters, no when sending email?
Yes, capital letters are equivalent to yelling or shouting.
And you don't use that?
No.
What about if you want to emphasize something? Do you just underline that instead, or?
If you want to emphasize something, you can bold it, or you can put it in another color. Right.
Okay.
But don't make all caps, and don't make them, 48-point fonts.
Whoa, too big. What about smiley faces?
Okay.
Smiley face,
Smiley face, right. We have to be professional. So depending on who you're emailing, if it's a friend, it's okay. But when a business email or for the office, refrain from the smiley faces and all these shortcuts, abbreviations. That's not for the business email.
Yeah, let me know is LMK and all that stuff, right? Okay, which brings us to tip number 3, be concise and brief, professional. Isn't that being concise, Ms. Melba?
Okay, be concise.
If you're using abbreviations and letters?
Not really, but be concise means, if you can reduce to 3 sentences what 10 sentences will say, do it. Because chances are the person that will read will want a digest of what you're trying to say, and you'll get a quicker response.
Right. Which, okay, brings me to, I know that we talked about cell phone earlier and we're supposed to be done, but we didn't catch this. When leaving a voice message, I don't like it when the person leaves you like a 5-minute voice message. You're just listening onto your phone, and you don't know when it will stop. Isn't that bothersome?
That's right. First of all, you're eating up the capacity of that cell phone, right?
Right.
So leave a short message. Say, Janelle, I really need to speak with you. Here's my phone number. Please call me when you get a chance.
Right. Or say the topic. I need to speak to you on so-and-so, and then,
Right.
Okay.
And don't forget to leave your phone number.
Right. Okay. So going back now, tip number 4, in email, number your questions. Why? Or bullet points, is that better?
Bullet points, but numbering is better. You know why? Supposing there are a lot of things that you want to raise. Chances are, if you just go through the paragraphs, the person will only see the first one and will miss out on the rest. Then you have to keep sending email after email, trying to chase the answers for the others, right? So when you number them, the person says, oh, there are 5 things I need to look at.
Right. And tip number 5, include deadlines.
Okay. If there are things that we need to take care of, it's good to suggest, I'd really like to get an answer by the 5th of the month or so forth. And that way you don't keep the other person guessing, oh, I have 10 weeks to act on this.
Right. And tip number 6, use FYI.
Okay. There are emails that we send that don't really need responses. Okay. So somewhere at the top, it's FYI for your information only, right? And they don't need to respond to that.
All right. And number 7, tell them you'll get to it later.
All right. Supposing you receive quite an urgent email, but you really have no time to go the full length of an answer. So give them a short email and say, I received your email. I will get to you later. Give me like 3 days, to reply to you. That way, the person that sent you is not anxious. Did she get it? Did she not get it?
Which brings me to my next question. How late is late? Like, how many days should you let pass before answering an email? Or what is rude? What's acceptable? When you get an email, do you respond right away and say, I'll get to you by the end of the day? Or do you just wait 2 days, 3 days until you're ready to respond?
It's a function of time, that's true, but it's also a function of how important was the message there. If it's an urgent thing, then you need to attend to it. If time will not permit right now, then say, I'll get to it tomorrow.
Right.
Wait for my email tomorrow or wait for my call.
And make sure you respond tomorrow when you say that you're responding tomorrow. When we're going to be talking about that when we return on the show, because in the email there's a subject line, so there's a heading, and we can use that in order to let the other person know how important our message is and how urgent it is, right? We're going to be talking about that and more when we return on the show. Don't go away.